Okay, I just got down to the river here, and it looks like the water's dropped at least 2 feet overnight. Yesterday it was probably clear up to this line right here. And there was a lot of boat action yesterday. Barge. It caused a lot of waves. Stuff will wash out of the sand. But most of the stuff's under the sand, laying on the mud layer and the clay layer. So if you want to find more things, you got a shovel. I got my sifter over there. But you can see where I've sifted all of this up in here. And I've found several points in here. You can see all my tailings. All this burned up ancient campfire stones. You can see this. This is all red sandstone mostly. It's all red and fired and busted up. But it's just laying everywhere in here. And this must have been a very highly populated area back in, thousands of years ago. When I first came down here, I found a big sandy broad base laying on the other side of that tree over there in the gravel. But a lot of this bank's been ruined for artifact hunting just because basically people are throwing modern concrete and stone down over the bank, and it's not giving it a chance to wash out any artifacts. So once they do that, you pretty much lost that area for looking. But I've pretty much sifted this whole beach from that tree clear over to that barrel over there, and I've pulled probably 10 points out of the sifter just in that short area, and probably twice that many broken points. And flakes, I have maybe a 2-gallon bucket full just from right in this small area. Actually, the first day I came down here and sifted, I sifted 3 points in this area right here, no bigger than that circle. And what I think's happened is this stuff falls off the bank, and they've lined these big concrete cubes up in here. It looked like there were pieces to an old culvert or something. And this one's got a hole in it, plus there's a big gap right there. When this stuff's coming down off of this bank, it's washing, it's hitting the lowest point right in here and right in there and washing down. I think they must have came out of this hole or that gap right there, and the current pushes them this way, and they work their way down this way just because of the current. Plus this big bush that used to be here was trapping them and forcing them around. I think that's why I found those 3 points in just that small area. But I found a big sandy broad base right here, a nice one, a Brewerton side notch serrated edges, and then a sharpened down little point that I couldn't identify. And I've pulled out several points right over there that have washed out just between there, that first block, and this goes up right here. This dirt goes up, so it's kind of a little channel here that they've washed out, and I pulled a few points out of here also. But today I just got here, and walking around the beach, since the water dropped, it exposes things as the waves lap on the sand. And just walking along the beach, you can find, see, there's flake right there. There's a flake right here. And I got 2 points laying out just from overnight. One of them's right here. We're going to pull it out now. Let's rinse this off. It's a little triangle. It's not a bad point. It's got a small, well, I don't think that's a ding right there. It's all there. It's just been chipped like that when they were making it. But that's not a bad point. This would have been a true bow and arrow point. Very small. But that's not a bad find just for laying out. Another one to add to the collection. But right over here, I've already picked this up. So I got it marked, but I mean, there's flakes. Look at this. There's a flake there. Flakes just laying out all over. But I got a point right over here. I've already picked this up, and it's either a point or a small preform that hasn't been finished. What's that off? Kind of crude. Yeah, it's got a slight curve to it, but it's a pretty nice material. I don't know what that material would be. Probably just a river stone chert. But it is all there. Yeah, right there. It's a river stone chert because right there's part of the cortex on the base right there. You can see that brown chocolate colored stone they made a lot of these points out of. But that's not bad for a just laying out. I'm gonna get the sifter, and first I'm gonna try on the other side of that tree over there and see what we can pull out of here today. Okay, we're gonna try to sift this area right here, but we got a small window. There's some junk thrown over the bank there, and you can see down here all this concrete and block and junk, and it's all laying up on the hillside. You can't look that. But I did find one big sandy laying in that gravel where it's over the years worked its way down through. I don't know how, but it did. But this probably 30 feet right here is open bank, and you can see up there where the bank slowly collapses in the floods and more stuff falls out and lays underneath of this sand here. We're going to give it a shot right here. I'll give you a shot of my sifter setup. I had a smaller sifter with handles, and you could pick it up, but you had to carry it, load it up with sand, carry it out in the water, sift it, and it was just backbreaking. So I came up with this idea. It holds a lot more dirt. I made skids for it, a rope. I can load it up, pull it out to the water and drag it around. It sifts a lot better. I can go through a lot more material like that. But I'm going to sift a little bit right here. I'm going to start right here, see if I can find any concentrated stone under the sand there. And if I find anything, I'll get back to you. You can see, but there is concentrates under this sand. I'm hitting a lot of gravel and stuff, but there's some modern gravel in here too. But I'm just, you can hear that, just concentrated. There used to be a bush right there, so I'd say the current, when it's come down, has washed it to this side. So it might be stuff laying all in here. I'm going to do a couple screens here, see if I find anything. But this sounds good under there. Okay, I did a few screens over there, but there's just so much modern gravel. I mean, look at this driveway gravel thrown in there. There is some stuff. Like there's a piece of flint. There's a big piece of green flint. I find a lot of this green flint here, mostly the green and the black. But there's so much modern gravel in here that it's just hard to sift through that stuff. over there. So I'm gonna go right down here and try where I was last night, and I was having some luck. I pulled a nice hematite paint stone out of there that it was rubbed clear to the metal. You can see that in my last video. I pulled at least 30 hematite paint stones out of this area right here. I'm going to go down here and sift, and I'll let you know if I find anything. Okay, I just took a few, probably 7 or 8 shovelfuls down in there. The stuff's deep. This sand is very thick. But I sifted it down. Here's the first screen. And you can see the flakes. Flakes just all through it. There's a big flake of red. I mean, there's just flakes all through this. Flake there. Big flakes of black. I don't see any points in this screen, but we'll keep looking. These screens are loaded with flint. I mean, it's everywhere. Look at these green flakes. Like gray. Right there looks like a hematite stone. Yeah. It's got scratches on the top. It's not a very good example. And you can just see the red that rubs off of this stuff. Look at that. It's all over. So there's flakes all through here. There's a big flake of green. There's a big chunk of flint. Flint everywhere in here. And a flake of red. I don't see any points. Right there's something. Looks like a broken preform. Bottom half of a broken preform. You can see where it's busted off. I must have found a little channel right in here. I've been sifting under the water, but I can feel the stuff in there. A lot of concentrated stuff right in this area. Probably a channel that came around that bush up there. And the stuff's just distributed out over here. I mean, you can see all this exploded campfire stains just laying here. But this is a good screen here. It's a good screen. I've got a couple of huge spalled off pieces of flint. Here's some of that green. Big chunk of it. But got something here. Looks like a little blade. Could be a flake, but kind of looks like a blade. Along with all this other flint. I mean, it's just everywhere in here. There's flint everywhere. Big chunks of flint. There's a flake, some red. It's all over. Sift through here. There's a flake of black. Flake of red. If I find anything else, I'll get back. I wanted to give you a shot of my sifter here while these waves are going. I can set that, being up on those skids, I can set that up in the air, throw my sand in there, my dirt concentrates, and it will actually sift down by itself. Makes it a lot easier than lifting up those other sifter. I had a small sifter, it was about a 2x2 square one with handles, and taking it up on the bank and lifting it all the time. You do that for a few hours, your back's hurting. So this makes it a lot easier. You could go all day with this thing. Yeah, it looks like we got a nice point in the screen here. There was this old railroad tie, and it was laying in there, and it had a lot of stuff built up in behind it. I still haven't gotten it all out of there, but the first screen behind that railroad tie, pulled one out. Take a look, see if you see it in there. Right there's some more flint missed. Right there. It looks like it has, there's a bad place in the flint, but maybe a fossil. But it's not broken. It's all there. Not the best at identifying these points. I'd have to look at the book on this one. It's about 1.5 inches to 1 3/4 inches long, but it's all there. Nice one. This is automatic sifting. Just keeps it sifted down as you're loading it in. Just sifted this out of the screen. It's an odd item. It's broken, whatever it was, but it is polished smooth. I can even see the abrasion marks on it, and it's squared off on the sides. There you can see abrasion marks. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, where they squared it off on the side and the end. If anybody knows what this is or what this was, leave a comment. Maybe a small pendant of some sort. Definitely an odd item. Here comes a paddle boat. They're playing Great Balls of Fire, Jerry Lee Lewis. The EL Thumper. Very cool. Another stern wheeler. This one's called the Sewickley. Goes another stern wheeler up the river. But I thought I'd do a little recap on what we found today. And I found all this flint, large pieces with spalls taken off. Huge. This piece of flint here I thought was cool, had a fossil in it. One bullet. maybe 22 caliber, 25 caliber. Two rubbed faceted hematite paint stones. There's one there, you can see that flat part on it. This has been rubbed, but it's been shattered all up. A preform that we found laying out when we first got here from last night's wash, along with this little Mississippian era triangle point. It's a little crude, but it's not bad. It looks like it was serrated at one time. This broke. Found this broke piece. Would have been really nice. It's super thin. Nice work. Too bad on that. Our little flake blade. And here's the find of the day. This whole point sifted in the screen. Got like a crustacean all the way through. That's gritty. I don't know, some kind of fossil. And probably just got the sand packed in it. It's a miracle how that didn't break. It's got a little fossil in the base there. I don't know if you can see that. Little fossil. And this odd item that has been polished all around. It's a broken piece off of something, but you can see the scratch marks where they've polished it. I don't know if that was a little pendant of some sort. If anybody knows, leave a comment, like I said. And if you like stuff like this, I'll be going on more hunts in the future. Like and subscribe. Till next time.